we'd like to speak about the subject of finding joy within is what I've been invited here to speak to you about. The yoga process is actually, the yoga system is meant to find inner happiness, not just peacefulness, not just a sense of calmness, but actually inner happiness, or even more than that, blissfulness. It's the goal of the yoga system. The whole yoga system is meant to experience this inner joy and happiness. The soul, you, the person in the body, is said to be, in the Vedic scriptures describes the soul as being Sat Chit Ananda. So the word Sat, it means eternal. So you, the person in the body, according to the great yogis and the scriptures of the yogis, is eternal. But we're not experiencing our eternality. Actually, we are, in a sense, because we're always existing. So there's not a point when you did not exist or I did not exist, but we're thinking that it will end. That, my life began at a certain year, and then it ends at a certain year, and then after that, there's no more. Some, people think like this. This comes from this identifying myself as a physical body. So as soon as I identify myself, I am a body, then I think I began at a certain time and I will end at a certain time. So even though we are eternal, we will always exist. There will never be a time when we don't exist. We identify ourselves with that which is temporary, and therefore we fear the cessation of existence. We think that we're going to stop existing, and so this causes a lot of problems. This is the start of our unhappiness, is this misidentifying ourselves as the body. So I'm not sure who was here for the earlier talk of Madonna Mahanadasi, but she explained in a bit of detail the difference between the self and the body, and how this material body is just the suit of clothes that the self has. Because most of us don't have any memory of existing before this body, we tend to identify ourselves with the body. Most of us can't remember past or before like 3 years old. I can't remember anything before, I think 3 years old was like my first memory I can remember. But it doesn't mean I didn't exist before that, right? My mom will attest to the fact that I was there, I was existing. I was doing all kinds of things, some good things, some bad things, causing trouble or whatever. And it was me doing it. And if I try to say, Mom, that wasn't me, I don't remember any of it, it couldn't have been me, she'll slap me in the head. And she'll say, that was you, right? So, just because we don't remember it, it doesn't mean we weren't there, you see? So, it's not a saying I don't remember, it doesn't mean anything, right? It's not any type of proof, in other words. The knowledge of the Vedas and the yogis, they tell us that we have always existed. There's never been a time when we didn't exist. Before this body, we were in another body, and when we finish this body, then we will go into another body. So, the yogi sees his body as a vehicle, not as his self. Just like I'm in a car temporarily. I can remember when I was not driving in my car, when I was in another car. I actually change cars because of my profession. I'm always changing cars. I go from one car to another car to another car. And I'm not in any illusion, I'm not in any, it's not a big anxiety for me when I have to leave one car, because I know I'm still me and I'm still going to exist when I go into this new car, right? So to a person who's self-realized, he's under no anxiety of having to leave this vehicle, just like someone can go and, is not in anxiety from having to go and leave one car and go into another car, right? So this is the first part of our coming to understand of who we are. Our essence is that we are eternal, we're not temporary, we're the eternal soul within the body. And so Sat refers to this eternal quality. Chit refers to knowledge. So being full of knowledge is also our inherent state or condition. In other words, knowing who we are, where happiness is, not being in any illusion of our situation. But right now we find ourselves in deep ignorance, misidentifying the self as a body, not knowing where to find happiness, and therefore our chit state is covered, right, over by ignorance. And the last part of our identity in this connection is Ananda, or blissfulness. So just like we are eternally existing and eternally full of knowledge, our natural default condition, our natural state is full of blissfulness. Like, always blissful, not needing anything, experiencing complete contentment all the time, not having to strive for it. It's just there. It's part of our eternal identity, blissfulness. But we're not experiencing blissfulness, so how could it be? It's just like you have a diamond, right? A diamond's natural dharma is, or natural state is shiny and brilliant, right? But a diamond can be covered over by layers and layers of crust and dirt and mud, and therefore its brilliant, shining state is covered up, and it's not brilliant anymore, right? So, just like that, the spirit soul is covered up by false ego, ahamkara, identifying myself as something that I'm not. And with all over lifetimes and lifetimes, so much of this crud has built up over our naturally blissful condition, because we're acting in ways that are contradictory to our actual eternal nature. And this increases ignorance and increases misidentification with the body, and we fall into a pit of darkness and illusion and ignorance. So it's just like you have, we come home, we're trying to find happiness or pleasure in so many different ways. We try to, actually we don't even, it's almost not even that. It's almost like we're just trying to not be totally suffering. It's like now our default state is suffering. It's like we come home from work or whatever, and it's like we can't just sit, we can't just be at home and just be reveling, enjoying our natural state and not needing anything. We're constantly having to do all kinds of things. Check Facebook, check the fridge, make something, stay busy doing something or other, anything, to just anything that will keep us from having to look at our unhappy condition. It's like, you know, when I lived in Hawaii, I used to surf a lot, and I used to see these fish jumping in the water. You ever seen like these? It's like a whole bunch of fish just jumping like that, and they're jumping because there's another fish, a bigger fish, underneath them, trying to eat them, right? So they're thinking that if I stay above the water, then if I'm just up here staying busy, then I won't have to go deep, and this big fish underneath won't eat me. You see what I mean? So we're trying to get away from our empty, unhappy state by staying busy. Just like those fish, just jumping, staying busy, staying busy, staying busy. Actually, I seen this other video where there was the same thing was happening. There was a big fish underwater, and this fish was jumping, trying to get away from this big fish. But above the water, there was a flying big bird who was waiting for the fish to come up. And so the fish was screwed in both places. You know, underwater he was getting eaten by the big fish, and above there's a bird trying to get him. Can you imagine that? What a terrible state, you know. So this is what we're like. We have this. We don't want to go deep because we don't want to go inside because it's an empty, dark place. And then when we go outside, we're plagued by all kinds of problems in this world, you know? Family problems, health problems, problems with the weather, problems with the government, problems with our bodies, our minds. All these different problems hassling us all the time. So we try to take the shelter by staying busy, but this busy life is all full of problems all the time. So whether we're trying to find happiness in this busy life or in going deep, we find problems, and it's difficult. So the yoga system is there for people to learn how to go deep and experience the blissfulness. If we try to go deep by ourselves, then we just go into this dark world of our minds. But the yoga system is there to teach us how to go deep and how to experience this inner blissfulness that is our natural state. I'm not sure how I can explain this in a, short talk, but actually, at first it comes with understanding, knowledge of who I am, that I'm not the material body, that I'm actually the spirit soul within the body. And then it comes from acting on that identity. Because the soul has an eternal dharma, eternal function, that if the soul engages in this eternal function, then the soul's happiness lights up. The yogi experiences within boundless transcendental pleasure or happiness by acting on his actual identity. So this takes education, learning from somebody who is qualified, in other words, a yoga master, someone who's achieved the goal of yoga. He can teach us who I am, what is my actual purpose in life, what am I supposed to be doing, how can I actually experience inner happiness, inner blissfulness, inner pleasure. It's not a mechanical thing. it's not like some kind of breathing technique or some kind of trick. It's peeling off the layers of misunderstanding, misidentification with what I am not, and finding out who I actually am, acting on this identity, and experiencing, therefore, the natural joy that is part of that identity. Just like if you have okay, let me try to think of an analogy here. Just like if you have we get like, in this world, we try to get pleasure and happiness through a false identity. We're thinking, I am a body, I am a male, I am a female, therefore if I get a male or a female partner, then I'm going to experience the full blissfulness and satisfaction that I think that's there. But it doesn't work, it doesn't really happen. Or, I try to eat a chocolate bar, or I try to have some ice cream, or I try to, do anything, so many different things. And maybe you get like a little tiny spark of pleasure, but then it's just not enough. It doesn't fill my heart and my void, my emptiness. So I try all these different things, and it's kind of like you have a plug. Okay, let's go. We got a plug that only one thing fits it, and some things like almost fit it, and some things don't fit it at all. And anyway, so you're trying to plug into all these different things, trying to get happiness from chocolate, trying to get happiness from sex life, trying to get happiness from becoming famous or becoming wealthy, all these different things. It just doesn't do it. It doesn't, my heart doesn't light up with happiness. And then somebody tells me, okay, well, if you want to be happy, you need to learn about your spiritual identity and then act upon that. And then you take that plug of trying to find happiness, you stick it in that one, and boom, it lights up. It works. It's the thing that actually works. And the reason why it works is because it is who I am. I am the spirit soul, and I am part and parcel of the supreme spirit soul. So my eternal function is therefore to be engaged in a loving relationship with the supreme soul. This is the meaning of yoga, this union with the supreme soul, yoga. So when I experience this union, then my heart lights up with happiness, and I see this is the natural, my natural eternal engagement, and I know this because of the pleasure, the inner happiness and blissfulness that I feel from that. So the yoga process gradually purifies my heart and my mind from this misunderstanding and gives me an actual positive application. And from this, I'm able to gradually, my consciousness, my heart, my mind becomes more purified, and my eternal Chit, Ananda identity becomes more and more awakened and manifest within me. So this is the purpose of yoga is not to, in other words, gain something from another source. It's to discover what's already there within. And this process that's what it does. It purifies the heart and soul and the mind, and the natural shining diamond of our eternality, knowledge and blissfulness shines more and more. So it's you can try to find happiness in this world in so many different ways, but when you're tired of it, there is hope. There is a process where you can stop looking outside and start looking inside for pleasure and for happiness. And this is the system of yoga. That's what it's for. It's for those who want to experience this real transcendental pleasure and happiness within. Okay? Does anybody have any questions? Yes?
How do you identify your spiritual identity? What is your spiritual identity?
Okay, so the first part of my identity is that I am spirit, not matter. I'm the spirit soul within the body. That's the first part. We can't, if we want to identify any object, really, we need to know more than what it's made out of, right? Like, for example, this microphone, it's made out of metal, right? And so, but that's not a full description of a microphone, right? So a microphone has a function, and the function is to make it so, to amplify sound so people can hear, right? So it has a natural function. So just like me, I am spirit soul, but my natural function is, because I am not the supreme spirit soul, I am an infinitesimal spark of the supreme soul. Just like the ray of the sun is just a small spark of the sun. I am not above the material nature. I am dominated by it. I'm subordinate to it. My power is very limited. The natural function of me and all spirit souls is to be engaged in a loving relationship with the Supreme Spirit Soul. You see? So that is where the spirit soul in the body can find the happiness, the pleasure that it desires. So that's the, so I am the spirit soul, but more than that, I am the eternal servant of the Supreme Spirit Soul. And that's my identity. Okay?